Agud Voch Raboisai. Welcome to all the guests. Welcome to Official, all the way from Baltimore. We are live. Horav. The Rav told me last week, he says, I know that there are other people watching you, because he was talking to some architect in New York, and the architect says, yeah, I'm familiar with your Beis Medrash. You have the nice chandelier. He says, how do you know? He says, because I watched Stefansky Shir, and on Friday afternoon, I see the background over there. So welcome to all the guests. Today, it depends where you are and what you are. It's either the 10th of the Omer, the 11th of the Omer, the 12th of the Omer. It's a reminder, wherever you are, say Sfiras HaOmer. We only have one email for you today. My name is Brian Kamrav, a U.S. Navy chaplain living in Milwaukee. I meet so many people, many don't have a learning background. With MDY having a source to help with one's learning Daf Yomi, give real encouragement and a boost to join. Count me in to spread the word in the Navy and Marines. Shkoya, thank you very much. What's your name, by the way?
Gedalia Brightman.
Gedalia Brightman, Shkoya, thank you. It's the first person that did me a favor before even hearing one word of Torah from me. Shkoya, Lieutenant Commander, U.S. Navy, Chaplain Brian Kamrav.
Good guy.
You know? Great guy. Okay, so we had a few days ago 6 different commanders and whatever sent in emails all in one day, and here's another one. Before I forget, I want to say a tremendous mazel tov. There's a person very close to this year from Montreal, I think it is Toronto, Montreal. Which one is it? I don't remember anymore. Shulam Goldstein. He's been married for many, many years, and he had a baby girl today. So it's a tremendous mazel. He's at the Shabbaton. He was at Miami Siyum, came with his wife. So it's a tremendous simcha for all of MDY and Gans Klal Yisrael. The Masech is sponsored by Anonymous for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Paras Chodesh, Zechrya Ben Moshe, Zechrya Ben Yosef. Paras Chodesh, Binyomin Rosenfeld, hatzlacha in my business and all my endeavors. Paras Hayoim, Siata Dishmaya. Daniel Ben Yael and Tova Rivka. I'm sorry. Daniel Ben Yael and Tova Rivka Bas Hinda Yoseefa for major life decisions. The art of the Anonymous for the zechus, for an easy childbirth for his daughter and a healthy baby. Raboisai, here we are. Daf Amud Beis. We're in the middle of Ezu Neshech, one of the most famous program in Shas, a parak dealing with bankers and interest. That's why we have 2 bankers here from Louis Colum and Ross from First Equity Bank. They're very familiar with Heter Iska. Unfortunately for them, they came on the one daf in the entire parak that doesn't really discuss that much interest. It's more like...
You missed the quality also. There's not only a heter, there's a quality, which quality really brings out, and we have also.
Oh.
You missed that from your share.
Well, we're not there. You're talking about a Heter Iska? Yeah, different type of Heter Iskas and clothes. You have to know, but you have to know how it works, Louis. You can't just sign it and have somebody sign. They have to know how it works as well. Both sides have to know how it works.
I'm saying you didn't bring it up when we go out about it.
I don't know anything. I'm just reading whatever I see over here. When we get there. What?
First did.
All right, first. No, I'm not poking any kind. Listen, I still have a loan with you, so it better be okay.
Yeah. Talk to everybody.
Yeah. What? Mazel tov, official, of course, official's here. How Gavra? The Zovinli Arel Hachaver Shaloi B'Achrayis. So we have a few stories, Dishmaya stories here today. There's a person who sold a field to his friend Shaloi B'Achrayis. Now, as you know, there's a concept of Shas called Achrayis Tol Sofer. In general, when you sign a document, you take a loan, you are giving your real estate as collateral. And if you don't write it specifically in the document, all it means is that you made a mistake. Achrayis Tol Sofer, you made a mistake. It's automatic. Therefore, says Rashi, the only way it could be Shaloi B'Achrayis must mean that you wrote specifically in the document that there's no collateral. There's no attachment to real estate. Because just the fact that it's not in there doesn't mean anything. The fact if it's not in the document, it happens automatically because it's a mistake. So in order for it not to have any loan, not to have any attachment to real estate, it must be that it was written specifically shaloi b'achrais. Okay. Chazi dahav kotzev. The guy the seller sees that the buyer is sad because they already agreed that there's not going to be any collateral. That's why he's so sad. If they come and they collect from you, they take, because let's say there was a loan outstanding beforehand, there's the third mortgage, fourth mortgage, they come and they take it away from you. Shufra, I'll give you the best. I have a much better field. Don't worry about it. I'll give you better real estate. Shvach Pera, I'll take care. I'm responsible for all the any improvement you make in this real estate. I'll take care. Don't worry about it. He's fanning him up with words. People say a lot of things. They don't mean it. They just mean they want to make the guy feel good. Let me ask you, what's better, to write out a document like a non-Jew or trust somebody like a Jew? The answer is, if you trust somebody like Jews do, then later on you might come to act like a non-Jew. So it's better to just write everything out, be very specific, and then you won't have any issues. Just because the guy promised you verbally that he's going to take care of you, he's going to pay you with the best of the best, means nothing. It's just words. Typically, the buyer has to make the deal. The seller is just talking, like you're selling a used car. Yeah, I guarantee it. Don't worry about it. So it's nothing. What about this brisa that we had yesterday? That the buyer tells the seller, the guy, he realizes that the seller is desperate. He's selling his property. He's selling his apartment. He has a nice apartment. Why is he selling it? Because he's desperate for cash. So the buyer tells the seller, don't worry about it. If you ever have money, I'll give you back your apartment. Mutter. So we said yesterday there's a distinction between if the buyer makes this deal or the seller. If the buyer makes the deal, he tells him, don't worry, I'll pay you back. That's mutter. Why? The moich with the boy last night, it's the seller that has to make the deal. In this case, the seller didn't make the deal, it was the buyer that made the deal. And we explained what's the difference. And Rav explained yesterday that it happened on his own will. The buyer did it on his own will when he wants to. If he wants to, he'll return it. If he wants to. It's because he stipulated that I'll be on his own will. If he didn't say straight out that it's dependent on him, then we don't say that. So you see that typically you don't say that people just talk. It's not just he was trying to calm him down with words. He was being serious. No. In this case, we'll say it's as if he said, when I feel like, or if I feel like returning your house, I'll do it. It's not that he said it, it's as if he said it. Okay. Says Gemara's story, another story. Again, we're not holding by ribbis yet. We were there, we're talking about business now. The cost of the guy was about to die. And he has, let's say, a brother in Russia. Now, if he dies, his wife needs Yibum. She needs Chalitza. The problem is the brother, you can't get a hold of him. He's in Russia. What are you going to do? So she is going to be in Aguna. There's no way to get a hold of him. So what does he do? He gives his wife a get. He divorces her. He thinks he's going to live for another 2 days, divorces her. Now, what he could do is he give her a get on condition. If I die, then you're divorced retroactively. But he forgot to do that. He wasn't very smart. He gave her a get right now. There was a husband who asked his wife, he said, will you still love me when I get old, ugly, bald? She looks at him, she goes, I do already. Yeah, so the guy is dying. He says, you know what? Let me divorce you. Omer, so in gid ve'itnach, he said, oi. As he's giving the get, he's like, Omer le, am I coming nachas? I see that you're in pain. Give me this get. Don't worry about it. If you survive this, I'm yours. I'll always love you. I'll always be your wife. Don't worry about it. She's feeding him lakshan. He's about to die. She doesn't want to upset him. She's excited that she got a get. I'll always be yours. Yeah, right. You know, we always say the story with the Boston Rebbe, whoever it was, but there's a lot of stories. There was actually real stories in Israel that, or wherever it was, there was, you could get away with, if you divorce your wife, you have certain benefits from the government, single benefits. So people said, you know what, let's get divorced for a day or two. Then we'll get back together. Nobody will know that we ever got divorced. But we'll get the benefits from the government. So they go ahead and they get divorced. And then, one looks at the other and says, okay, so why are we living in different houses? Let's take it easy for a week or two. Let's see how it works out. And then they never get back together. Anyway, don't worry about it. If you survive, we'll be married. So Rav Zvis says that her words were just to calm him down. But the Gemara asks a bomb question here. And without this, that she's just trying to be nice to him, and it's just words. Is the get dependent on the wife? The get is dependent on the husband. He's the one that could stipulate whether it's a get or not. She can't do anything about it. A woman can be divorced before the Chem Rabbein and Gershom. Says the Gemara, who gave Ugufei Adaita the Dok Gomer, V'Yav Gita. No. He's the one stipulating, but it's based on what she's saying. She's going to make the deal, and he's going to say, okay, I'm giving the get on condition. I like her conditions. He's the husband. He makes the conditions, but he's going to do it based on her conditions. Very good. Kamash Malon says the Gemara, Luvo al Sadei. So what happened there? So we have this is actually a sugya, and we mentioned it yesterday. It's a sugya of asmachta. What's asmachta? Asmachta means anytime you exaggerate, you do something that's not normal. One of the examples is gambling. You put, one of my very close relatives told me yesterday that he won $50,000. Like, wow, in a poker game. That's great. How much do you have to put to buy in? $10,000. Okay, that's a little mashugah to me, I think. He could have lost $10,000. But why does a person put down $10,000 in a poker game? Because he doesn't think for a second he's going to lose. He thinks he's better than the other guy. So that could be a problem of a smachta. There's ways to get around it if you're a professional gambler. You don't want to be over on a smachta because it's stealing, really. So if you put the money down on the table and it's real, then it could be it's not a smachta. But something called an asmachta. What happened in our Mishnah? Very simple. The bankers in the room could tell you this happens all the time. It's ma'aser shahayos. A guy is desperate to get $1 million loan. Why? Because he wants to buy a business, he wants to buy a house, he wants to do something. He needs money from the bank. So what does he tell the bank? He says, I have something that's worth more than $1 million. I have a house that's worth $2 million. Yeah, take it. Why does he say take it? Because he has no hava amina that he's going to lose, that he's not going to be able to pay back the loan. In his mind, 100%, the deal is going to go great. He's going to do all this business, and he's going to pay back the loan. Not for a second does he think that the bank is going to come after his $2 million home. Because if he did, he would never give a $2 million home as collateral. The most he would give is a $1 million home as collateral. Why is he over collateralizing it? Doubling, tripling. People do that all the time. We'll cross collateral, take this building, that building for a small loan. Because they're sure they're going to pay back the loan. In other words, that's called an asmachta. So does it work or not? So now in Mishnah, we had this case where a guy borrowed money let's say it was $1 million, and he said, take my field. If I don't pay back after 3 years, take my field. Okay, the Mishnah says it's okay, it works. Omer Avuna b'shas matamois konakol. When you do the loan, when you're writing the loan, then it works. Then you can take the entire $2 million field. Lacha matamois. But if you collateralize this afterwards, like the most the bank or the lender could take from the field is $1 million. Whatever equals the amount of the loan, the field is worth $2 million. You don't get the whole field; you get a $1 million piece of the field. Rav Nachman says no. All $2 million goes to the lender. Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman was the son-in-law of the Rosh Golos. It's famous. He did a story. There was a story that came to him where they cross-collateralized after the loan, and he said, "Oh, you get all $2 million." He told the lender, "Take the $2 million, not the $1 million." Kari Rav Yehuda l'shtare. Rav Yehuda went ahead and ripped up the shtar. He didn't like Rav Nachman's psak. Amalei Rish Gelusa, Rav Yehuda kar l'shtar. So his father calls him in. You heard? Rav Yehuda didn't like. He ripped your shtar. Amalei dardega kare. Do you think? Yoshi did something here. Let me see. You think he's a little child that ripped up your shtar? Gavar Rabba kare. This is not a child. This is Rav Yehuda. He obviously had a very good reason, halachically, to rip it up. Chazvi Tama, he saw a good reason, Vikari and rip. Ikadari, some say, Omar Le Dardikakari. The Kuli Alma, in other words, he's belittling Rabbi Yehuda. He's like a child. The Kuli Alma, Ligabedi Di, Bedina Dardikininu. Says Rav Nachman, the halacha is like me. In Shas, we pass like Rav Nachman when it comes to Maminas. So he's nothing compared to me in Dina Maminas. He had no right ripping my shtar. I decided that's the halacha. But the Gemara says at the end of the day, and this is the halacha, Hodar Omar Rav Nachman, he went to the other extreme. Afilu b'shas matamois. Now he argues on the opposing Manda Omar, and he's even more strict than the other Manda Omar. Afilu b'shas matamois, like klum. If you make such a deal, I'm going to give you $2 million for $1 million. Nothing happened. Why? Asmachta doesn't work. Asmachta leikanya. Ispi Rav Nachman. Says, yeah, if I'm giving you a loan, and if you don't pay me, if I don't pay you, if you don't pay me within 3 years, I take the field. So you see that it does work. What do you do with our Mishnah? How? It's Mefurish Mishnah. It says Mefurish in the Mishnah that this asmachta does work. How are you telling me asmachta doesn't work? Omerlei, ani oimer asmachta kanyo, umnimi omer asmachta lekanyo. Okay, so we have a machlokes tanoim here. I go, the Mishnah is going that asmachta does work. That's why it works. Binyomin says no. Well, the Binyomin kash masisa. What's Binyomin going to do with our Mishnah? Ibai say masisa Reb Yosi dom asmachta kanyo. No, it's already machlokes tanoim. Forget about Amarayim. This is machlokes Reb Yehuda and Reb Yosi in all of Shas. Does asmachta work or not? Reb Yehuda says asmachta leikanya. Reb Yosi says asmachta kanya. So our Mishnah goes like the Manda Omar by the name of Reb Yosi. That's fine. Daf Samach Vav Amud Beis. Sponsors for the Amud Beis. This is all officials. This is your fault, official. You came up with this idea. How many years ago? 4. Oh, so for 4 years we're doing this. No, I'll tell you why. Because there was a machlokes. Is it the turning of the daf, or is it turning of the page? Because in Baltimore you have people that say called turning of the page. Amud. So we made a pshara. You pay for it, you get to decide. And since then it was always turning of the daf. Sponsored by Kidnovations in honor of my Uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman and zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga, and by official mitzvah man. What's going on here? Explain. Not that you're here, you can explain. In honor of the Limits for sponsoring Sfar for the daily Ner Talmud learning. I have a feeling that this sponsorship costs more than the Sfar that the sponsor.
We started a program.
Yeah.
And now we have 70 people still learning. Now we give out free Gemaras, the VM.
70 people still learning different limud.
Every day.
Unbelievable.
We have that
on the group, on the chats. So you got to speak to Yeshua to explain to him how the group works, how it's like Dishmaya, everybody participates all day. By the Gewirtzman brothers, for Yartzeits of our grandfathers, Hachaver Moshe ben Yerachmiel Shalom and Rav Eliezer Moshe ben Shayma Zatzal. A boy said, take note. There's a person who's Marbitz Torah, who increases Torah in Klal Yisrael, got a whole shul by the name of Ner Tamid, to finish Masechtas Bava Kam. 137 people finished, and now the 70 people continue doing Bava Metzia and other different limudim. So, this is not a problem of a smachta. Well, what happened in our Mishnah? The Mishnah is, I owe you $1 million, and I'm going to give you a field worth $2 million if I don't pay. And he didn't pay. Does the lender get the $2 million field or not? Mishnah says yes. It's a smachta. You have no intent to give a $2 million value for $1 million loan. The answer is, he's stuck in the word me'achshav. So it's not so much a future, it happened right now. I am giving you this field right now if I don't pay. So the kinyan happened from before, and that's not a halacha of asmachta. Omar Le, listen to this. This is very interesting. Omar Le, Mar Yenuka, Umar Keshisha. Two brothers. One his name was Mar Yenuka, one was Mar Keshisha, B'nei de Rav Chizda. And they said to Rav Ashi. So what happened was, there were two brothers. They both had the same exact name, Mar. One was named Yenuka, the younger one, and one was named Keshisha, the older one. This is actually Machlekes Rishonim. It might be reversed, and that's why it's very complicated. Don't name your kids the same name, because later on people are going to get confused. Even though they had a name, they had a nickname, Yenuka and Keshisha. Yenuka means young and old, but it's possible that Yenuka means that he had it when he was young, and the other one he had it when he was old. So the Keshisha is actually younger, and the Yenuka is actually older. But kids, it becomes confusing. There's a nida in whether or not you could name two of your kids the same exact name. It becomes problematic. Somebody calls one wife calls her husband, the other husband shows up. The kids, it becomes problematic. There's a famous story with the Yoseefa. He was doing a bris for his son, and he was thinking and learning, and they asked him, "B'kar Shema B'Yisrael, what's your son's name?" So he said Yaakov, but his own name was Yaakov. He thought that they were asking him what his name was. So they went to Reb Eliezer, and he said, "There's the story." And Yoseefa was thinking and learning. He's very he wanted to I guess first of all he always thought in learning, especially during his son's bris. He wanted to have ashpa of Torah. He wasn't really holding there so much, and they said his own name. So Reb Eliezer said that it's a Kiddush Hashem to leave his name as his father's name. People should know that there are people out there that are thinking and learning like that. So his name was Yaakov ben Yaakov. Yamoy, Yaakov ben Yaakov. No, we need to, every time you got an Aliyah, they probably corrected it. Kids, that's how it was. Yoseefa. Says the Gemara. So Mar Yenuku, Mar Keshisha, two brothers, both by the name of Mar. B'nei de Rav Chizda, Rav Ashi. Hachaver and Rav Nachman. This is what they said. Hay smachta b'zimnei kanya, b'loy zimnei loy kanya. The only time an asmachta works is if it's within the time. In other words, if he didn't pay on time, loy kanya. So he says, Amalei, kol mida b'zimnei kani, b'loy zimnei loy kani. Every time it's only b'zimnei kani, not b'loy zimnei. Says maybe this is what you meant. What if the loiva bumps into the malva in the street within the period before you're supposed to pay? And he tells him, just take my field. Why? Because it's as if the borrower is telling the lender, there's no way I'm going to come up with the money. You know what? It's Marish Bashar that bumped into you. You remember that collateral I gave you? Just take it. I thought about it. There's no way I'm coming up with $1 million in the next week. Just take it. So therefore, you can take it. But if you bump into each other, the borrower and the lender bump into each other after the due date, he says, you know what? I'm sorry, I didn't pay. Just take my field. What does that mean? No. When a guy bumps into you after the due date, he says, you know what? Just take my collateral. What does it mean to you? He's embarrassed. He realizes he should have paid on time, and he just got caught red-handed. He bumped into the guy. Like Connie, my time the He wasn't really serious by saying, take my $2 million piece of real estate. He didn't know any better. He saw the banker. What is he going to do? So he lied to him. V'loi, says the Gemara, even when you bump into him before the time, you do not get that piece of real estate. So why did he say take it? Since the lender sees I'm being serious, I told him to take this piece of property. So when the time comes, he's not going to bother me so much. But he didn't really mean that you should take the piece of property. Asmachta, this field that I'm giving you as collateral, even though it's worth a lot more than the loan, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you bump into the guy and you see him drinking cunning, why? Why is he drinking? He's self-healing. He realizes he's never going to come up with the money, so he decides to go to the bottle. But if you see him he's running to this guy, to this lender, making phone calls, then he's not giving up so quickly. Then he's not giving you the collateral. Maybe he's doing one of these. Maybe he's drinking because he has all these bills to pay, and he has all these loans coming up, and he has your loan, the $1 million loan, and now he's really, not that he's giving up, he just wants to calm himself down a little bit. Maybe he thinks that somebody else is going to pay. Here's another one. Somebody else will pay for it. So he's making a simcha. Not that he gave up, and he's not. He thinks somebody else is going to pay for him. Somebody's going to step in. The guy that always saves him is going to step in again. This drinking, I was just reminded that on Motzei Pesach, the Vilna Gaon always used to do Havdalah on beer to show the Chavivas HaMitzvah that the only reason why he's eating matzah and all this, potato cakes and whatever we eat on Pesach, ladyfingers, is because it's Pesach. And the moment Pesach comes out, I'm drinking beer. I'm drinking chametz the first moment I can. They say a story that by Tzanz, that was the minhag also, to make Havdalah on beer. Until one year, the Rebbe tells the guy, "No, where's the beer? I have to go get beer." He says, "Don't worry, I have it." He pulls it out of his pockets. He says, just on Meyer. He says, no. I knew the Rebbe always wants beer, so I bought it every Pesach from the guy. That's what they say. Ma'aser shkmatoya. So, if the person doesn't want to sell anything, you see that you ask him, you have money, you have $1 million to pay for the loan? No. What about your car collection? No, I'm not selling that. What about your baseball card collection? No. What about your silver? No. So you covet bidmei vadikani. He doesn't want to sell. Then you could take that field. That means he's not playing ball here. Take his field. Maybe he doesn't want to deal with anything, because if he gives you a good price he starts selling off his cars, people say, "Oh, he's desperate. He needs money." So then everything becomes less valuable. All his belongings become less valuable. So says the Gemara, "El Amar Papa Yikopet Ba'aravadi Kane." No, we're not talking about all his possessions. He only cared about other properties. He didn't want to sell other properties. In that case, then you could take the property that he set aside as collateral. Oh, so this is very interesting. Even though your collateral is $2 million, the loan is $1 million. So even though we just said you shouldn't take the $2 million piece of property, what's a poitiki? A poitiki, you could take from the property, you could take $1 million. The property was set aside as like a penalty. If you don't pay the $1 million, you get the $2 million property. But he never set it aside to pay the loan. It was more like an incentive to pay the loan, but you don't take the $1 million out of the property. If he said, that you should be kind of this is the property that you could collect from this property. So he said before you could collect from it. But why should it work? He doesn't think that he's ever going to have to use this property to collect from. So why could you collect from it? So Rashi explains very nicely. What happened was here that he did two conditions. There's two conditions. First of all, if I don't pay you within 3 years, I'm going to pay you. First of all, you can take the whole field. If I don't pay after 3 years, you take the whole field, the $2 million. But I am going to pay you from this field. This is very interesting. So just pay from this field. No. If the 3 years come and I don't pay you from this field, the $1 million, take the whole field. So I'm doing like an asmachta / pirayin. I'm doing two things here. I'm exaggerating because I want you to know that I'm going to pay you within 3 years. So I say you can have the whole $2 million, but also you should know I'm paying you from this field. So the chiddush is that if one of the two conditions falls away, the other condition remains, and the other condition is that you could take. So yes, it's an asmachta and asmachta likanya. You cannot collect the $2 million, but the $1 million you could collect because one condition remains. Just because one condition fell off doesn't mean that both conditions fall off. You're going to collect from here. Another story. He sold a field with a connection to real estate. If I don't pay you the $1 million, you can take my real estate. You know what? If they come and take my field, I want to be able to collect from the best of the best. So here, 1 second. So let's say a guy has 3 fields. He has real estate. He has an apartment in Yerushalayim. That's the best of the best. Idiotis. He has an apartment in Bet Shemesh. Idis. He has an apartment in Kfar Sabra. Ziburis. So the guy says, I want you to guarantee me the 4th field that's not on this thing. I bought a piece of property from you. I want you to guarantee it. If somebody comes and takes it from me, I want you to give me your apartment in Yerushalayim. The best of the best. So the guy says, no. Best of the best is for me. I never deal with. Nobody touches my best of the best. The best I could do for you is I could give you the apartment in Bet Shemesh. I'll guarantee you the apartment in Bet Shemesh. I'll give you Idis, not Idis. No way. Okay. What happened was, of course, they come and they foreclose on the guy's property that he bought from him. So now he's coming to collect the apartment. So he says, okay, give me the apartment in Bet Shemesh. The guy says, no, you don't understand. You know what happened? My apartment in Yerushalayim was destroyed in an earthquake. I don't have my apartment in Yerushalayim. So now my apartment in Bet Shemesh became my Idis. The top of the top is my Bet Shemesh. The guy says, no, but you promised me Bet Shemesh. No. I said, I'm not going to give you my best of my best. My best of my best was in Yerushalayim. Today, I don't have Yerushalayim anymore. It's gone. So now it dropped down one level. It went to Bet Shemesh. I cannot give you Bet Shemesh because that's the best of the best. Sorry, I have to give you Kfar Sabra. So what's hatzlacha? You see how this whole daf has no connection to Izu Neshech, really. There's not a lot to do with interest. He guaranteed the real estate. If something happens, they take it away from you, I will give you another one. I'll replace it. He says, okay, if they take my piece of real estate, please give me your apartment in Yerushalayim. This law that you have. No, I'm sorry, I can't give you the best of the best. I can't give you Yerushalayim. I need that place. What if Mashiach comes tomorrow? I need a place. I'll give you my second best. I'll give you Bet Shemesh. Then they came, the lenders came and took away the first piece of real estate that he bought. Also, Vodka Shakil Lididis. He came and he took the apartment. He wanted to come and take the best of the best. Sabra Pablo made this. Omeleva Kaima. I know what I told you, Magbina Loch, Idis Kaima. I only said, okay, you're right. The Chemish is Kaim. That's what he said. Kaim, Vokaima. The Chemish is it. But says the Rav Achmed Ifta, no. I told you, when can you take Bet Shemesh? When I have Yerushalayim. When Yerushalayim exists, you can have Bet Shemesh. Now my second best, that's my best. The Bet Shemesh became the top. I can't give you the top. Says Gemara, another sugya. Rav Bar Shabo have a massive baby Rav Kana Zuzah. Yod money, Omerlei. Eloi Paranaloch Leyoim Pliny, Gevima Hai Chamra. What does Chamra mean in this case? It can mean two things in Shas. A donkey or wine. What does it mean there? Obviously wine. From this wine, if I don't pay you back $100, take from this wine. Now what happened was the wine went up in price. This whole thing that a person doesn't exaggerate and doesn't give away good stuff, that's in real estate. Because people don't want to get rid of their real estate. But what about wine? Since the wine is there to be sold, it's like cash. Anytime a person exaggerates and says, if I don't pay you, I will do this and this and this, I'll give you my wine. That's an exaggeration. That's called an asmachta. Sometimes the wine is very important to a person. It's a battle. You know, what's his name? Zalman Tversky, that's here almost every day. He gave me a bottle just a few months ago. He gave me a bottle of wine that he had in his house for 10 years. Saved it for 10 years and gave it. It meant a lot. It's not the price. You know what it means to deal with a bottle of wine for 10 years? So the guy says, listen, if I don't pay you back $100, you can have this bottle of wine. That's huge. But it's a guzma. It's the same thing as saying real estate. Called the E, like Connie. It's an exaggeration and therefore it doesn't work. And finally, Rabbi side, last sugi here. Small sugi. Omer Rav Nachman. Ashad Omer Rabbona Smach Likani. Says Rav Nachman. Since we say that with this field, if I don't pay you, I'll give you my field after 3 years. The field is worth a lot more. And we said it doesn't work. If you used it, if the lender took the fruit from the field, he has to give it back. Says Gemara, the main brother, the Torah of Nachman, Mechila betos. We have a concept called person is moichel by mistake. It's not a good mechila. So here, the borrower, he forgave this, but by mistake. If I sell you I sell you fruit that doesn't exist yet, you could take it back if it didn't come to the world. Once it comes to the world, then Rav Nachman says no. Even before it came to the world, even though it came to the world, you can take it back. But this is the point here. I admit 2 more lines. That's it, Rabbi said. Wake up for the last 2 lines. I admit that if he took fruit, you don't have to return it. From this, says the Gemara. So what do you see? You see that, what do you mean you don't have to return the fruit? Why don't you have to return the fruit? You don't have to return the fruit because there was a mechila betos. He forgave by mistake. And it's considered a mechila. A second ago he said, forgiving by mistake is not a mechila. So which one is it? Mechila, not mechila. Says Gemara, the difference is, and we said this teretz a number of times already in this paragraph. Hastam zvini hachalva. When it comes to loan, it's a different rules. Anything that looks like ribbis, here finally we got to ribbis. Last word. Anything that looks like ribbis becomes a problem. So Melam, the mechila betos looks like in addition to what you got. He forgave you the fruit. Oh, it's a little extra. That looks like ribbis, that's awesome. But when it comes to a sale and there's this extra fruit, that's not a problem. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful week. And if you're in Chicago or New York, a great Shabbos. Yishkoach for coming.